because now they're doing everything they can to cover up. But in fact, they laid out the reasons why. If I didn't investigate it, I'd be guilty of malpractice. You know, they seem to forget that I'm a lawyer. If I were defending a terrorist, they'd be going crazy that I was called before a Senate committee. All those civil liberties groups would be saying, right to counsel. How can they intimidate a lawyer in his fearless pursuit of trying to find justice? I was not involved in any election, anything. This started 2 years before the election. It started and ended pretty much before the Mueller probe was over. I was still gathering evidence to prove his innocence. And all of a sudden I realized that there was a frame-up, a deliberate one, at the highest levels of our government, and then a colossal pay-for-play scheme at the highest levels of the Obama administration, eerily similar to the Clinton Foundation completely corrupt behavior in which the Clintons sold her office of Secretary of State for millions. In this case, the Biden sold his office for millions. Is there anybody that believes that Ukraine or China were paying for Hunter Biden's expertise? Or do you have the common sense to realize they were buying Joe Biden's office? And that is very damaging to the United States. Joe Biden was sent to Ukraine to in part deal with corruption, and he helped to corrupt the Ukraine. He is a laughingstock. We are, because we talk about corruption, and this guy puts his incompetent son to work for the most crooked oligarch in Russia. I mean, it is outrageous. The only really sad part of this, Sean, is how much in the tank and how corrupt this media has become. They have corruption staring them in the face, and they close their eyes to it, and then they make up charges against President Trump that aren't true. They don't look at this whistleblower. He is giving them hearsay evidence. The thing is filled with, I don't know, I heard, I overheard. There's not a single time he says, I know. Yesterday, I produced a witness who is under oath. He is willing to give his name. He is willing to testify. Maybe one of our Republicans in the Senate could call him. He's the guy that Biden fired. He's the guy that will testify under oath. He will face Biden and say, you corrupted my country. You got me fired on false pretext, and then you had the case against a corrupt company dismissed. And I'm going to tell you one other thing. Biden's corruption helped to cover up all of the allegations of collusion because there was a company involved run by George Soros, which was involved in the investigation, and that was closed down to cut off all of the proof, the additional proof of just how far the Democrats went in corrupting the 2016 election and in corrupting the Ukraine.
Mr. Mayor, the vice president was put in charge of Ukraine. Let's go to the timeline. 2014. It was only months afterward.
Yeah, put in charge to corrupt it.
His son, we can find no experience in Ukraine, none. No experience in the energy sector, none. Or gas.
He had just been thrown out of the Navy.
Okay.
Who would pay him millions of dollars to go on a company that had to be reformed, and the kid got thrown out of the Navy after his father pulled strings to get him in? He got thrown out tragically, I guess, failing a drug test. But China doesn't pay a guy who fails drug tests millions of dollars, billions in a private equity fund. And sure as heck, a crooked oligarch doesn't hire a guy who's drug challenged to be on his board. They bought Joe Biden's office. Wake up, Democrats. You are covering up corruption, and by the time this is over, you're going to be the party of corruption.
Mr. Mayor, the guy's name is Shokin. He has signed an affidavit under the threat of perjury.
He wants to put his hand up.
Hang on, he already has. We know. Talk to John Solomon, talk to ABC, talk to the Washington Post. Here's what we do know.
I'm the first one to interview him, Sean.
Okay, so this is what we know.
I found
the
him
vice
hiding
president
in a cottage because the man is afraid. And if this guy is crooked, he's not good at it. He's got a little cottage. He doesn't have a big Bentley like the phony prosecutor they put on yesterday. He's got a little car, and he's scared out of his mind because these people there are dangerous.
Why would a vice president of the United States of America use that power? He literally is shaking down, demanding in 6 hours the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor, or he's going to withhold taxpayer dollars, so he's using our money to shake this guy down in 6 hours. Either fire him, and it turns out that...
You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a... got fired. Getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. If the prosecutor, not one single credible outlet has given any credibility to his assertion. Not one single one.
Now to our ABC News investigation this morning into Joe Biden's son Hunter and questions about money he made from foreign business dealings while his father was vice president.
You have a big story tonight at the New York Times website. Tomorrow, page 1 of the print edition.
Was Hunter Biden profiting off his dad's work as vice president, and did Joe Biden allow it? We're talking about millions of dollars in at least 2 countries.
We have Joe Biden as vice president having intervened to sort of force the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor who happened to have an open case looking into a company, a Ukrainian gas company that was employing Joe Biden's son.
No reason to pay Hunter Biden $50,000 a month.
Hunter Biden worked for a natural gas company in Ukraine, which is totally fair game. Did the vice president's son use his dad's influence to make money somewhere in the world? That's totally fair game.
Potential conflict of interest there that I think Joe Biden will have to answer for.
Hunter Biden's work with the company reportedly sparked concern among State Department officials.
But was it right for Hunter Biden to take a job like that in Ukraine while his father was engaged in diplomacy there?
There is a story here. We've told some of it. There's more to be told.
I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. If the prosecutor...
So you have recordings of both Sobchak and Buseva where they're discussing the compromising material on Mr. Trump?
Absolutely.
Well, obviously we would welcome a chance to get copies of those recordings.
It certainly appeared Adam Schiff was eager to get the recordings, and a member of his staff reportedly continued communicating with the pranksters trying to get the damaging material. But as Congressman Geitz points out, it appears Schiff now has a different view of foreign help.
It is illegal, improper, a violation of oath, a violation of his duty to defend our elections and our Constitution for the president to merely ask for foreign interference.
Alice is a constitutional law attorney. She's on the advisory board of the Trump 2020 campaign, and she joins us today. Jenna, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much.
So you're an attorney. You're an expert, therefore, on standards. It seems a little confusing for Adam Schiff to say it is illegal and immoral to solicit dirt from a foreign citizen, and then to look at that tape where he does exactly that and feel no embarrassment?
Yeah, well, if the Democrats didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all, really. So, I mean, for Adam Schiff to be saying one thing and then turning it around, it just proves that the Democratic Party is not actually interested in the rule of law. They are interested merely in making up their laws and rules as they go. And so even with impeachment, and if you look at even the testimony that was given at the congressional hearing last week, I mean, Adam Schiff tried to manipulate all of those terms into just their own standards and try to say, and McGuire did such a great job at just, if you look at even the testimony that was given at the congressional hearing last week, I mean, Adam Schiff tried to manipulate
the pranksters trying to get the damaging material. But as Congressman Geitz points out, it appears Schiff now has a different view